20 seconds. Seconds. Very good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. This is the FINA Virtual Grand Prix, hosted by DPC. We have 34 athletes competing in this event. There are 6 locations in 3 countries, 4 nations represented at this Virtual Grand Prix event. This event is hosted by Diving Plongeon Canada, and it is presented by One Square Phillips, one of our major sponsors for Diving Canada. One Square Phillips, also presented by Speedo Canada. Let's have a look at our start list for our first event, which is a combined synchro competition. There's the start list for the men's 3-meter synchro. 2 teams coming to us from our pool in Sheffield, Great Britain, and our start list for the women's 3-meter synchro. There are 2 teams competing in this event as well. One from Indiana, Ripfest Dive Club down there representing at this Grand Prix, and Great Britain. This event is supported by the Government of Canada as well as the Province of Ontario. This event is produced by Integrated Sports Systems, powered by, and DPC TV. Also supported and sanctioned by FINA, where water is our world. Join us, if you will, for a countdown video. Let's get ready to get this party started. Well, good afternoon, good morning again, wherever you may be. It's 3 o'clock in the UK. It's 10 a.m. on the Eastern Standard Time and 7 a.m. in west coast of Canada. It's only 4 a.m. in Honolulu, where we have one of our judges. We are going to have 7 judges on our panel. They are located in their home studios. They'll be watching this real-time diving competition and then entering their scores into the UJudge scoring software. It's a fantastic little ability technology to allow us to have divers competing live in front of our audience and our panel of judges. Like I said, they're in their home studios and indicated that one of our judges is in Honolulu. We also have a judge in Scotland. Where else are they? Alberta, Quebec City, Regina, Saskatoon, San Francisco, all over the place from there, and we thank them for their time and their efforts. We also have a FINA Technical Diving Committee member observing the proceedings, as well as our referees, our head referee, and on-deck pool referees. Each venue has someone making sure everything is running smoothly on that end. Our first event is the men's 3-meter synchro. We're combined events. We'll do the men's events and then the women's. 2 men's teams, 2 women's teams, back and forth until we finish. Here are the lads out there in Great Britain, Leon Baker and Tyler Humphreys. They're performing a 201B. This is a back dive, pike position. Bit of a glitch in our system. It does make me smile and laugh because everything is, sometimes it all falls together and it's amazing, and then sometimes there's a bit of a glitch. So in Sheffield, our first team that is in our dive list, they actually dove during the opening credits. They went a little early and nobody got to see that dive because we were watching the countdown video. That team that dove was just team number 2. Judges did see it, so they are able to enter their scores, and this is a replay of Ewan and Hugo. Judges saw that dive and entered a score, so team number 2 is getting their score, so we're going to ask team number 1 to get back up there and do their dive in front of our judges. And there's the scores for team number 2. 46 points on that dive. Judges are looking for an overall impression of synchronization for these divers. Obviously, 7 judges. Usually there's judges on both sides of the venue assessing the execution of each dive as well as the synchronization. In this case, all 7 judges are looking for the overall impression of the synchronization of our athletes, how they're diving as one. So, here's team number 1, Leon and Tyler. performing their 201B back dive, pike position. And our graphics are right. Our athletes are correct ones up there. It's the correct dive, and the judges are prepared to watch team number one dive in round number one.
Okay, boys, technicians for the youth method. Great breakthrough. Leon and Connor, keep up the good.
So because of the out of order scenario, our judges are now repeating their scores to our technician and manually or verbally. And I can hear those scores coming in through one ear as they be tabulated, and there the scores are coming in. Trust me on that. I can hear them coming in from our judges. They are all connected using a Zoom call to be able to communicate to our studio in Victoria, BC, that is looking after all of the officials. And there's the scores for team number one. That's 48 points for the lads. 8's in there, 8.5 was your high. We are going to see the first of our women's 3-meter synchro divers. This is in Ripfest, Indiana. Kristen Hayden, Margot O'Meara performing a 101B. This is a forward dive, pike position.
Tell me who broke your heart, 'cause I could tell you who
That was our first team in the women's 3-meter synchro.
Tell me how you got those scars.
Kristen and Margot performed their 101B. We're having a bit of a technical glitch on our judges scoring software. They are once again entering their scores verbally to our technicians. Scores coming in, and then we'll be heading over to Sheffield for Team Great Britain, second team in our women's 3-meter synchro. Scores are in, and they're Once again, those scores are being transmitted by our judges from their home studios to our official studio, which is located in Victoria, BC. Then that all gets sent off to our production studio, which is located in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Judges on their tablets, laptops, desktops in their home studios. And here are the scores coming in for Tilly and Evie. 39 points for those athletes. See Evie with some tape around her ankle. She had to withdraw from the earlier competitions Thursday and Friday due to that ankle sprain she received during the training, the warm-up of our first day of the competitions. Small delay while we refresh and reset so that we can get keypads working for our judges. You can see live shots of both of our pools, our facilities that are participating in this event. A bit of experimenting going on from time to time during this broadcast. We are using relatively new technology. We tried it once during a Virtual Nations competition. Had a nice opportunity to see some Olympic divers before they headed off to the World Cup. And it worked relatively well, experimenting with some new systems that very little lag time coming into us from the camera systems that are set up in the different pools. And a little bit of an issue here because we're combining events. The judges software is set up for men's 3-meter synchro, which works well, but then when we jump immediately to the women's 3-meter synchro, the algorithms aren't happy. So we're trying to figure out how to refresh and set up and so that each competition is recognized separately. So while that's going on, entertain yourselves. Go get a cup of tea. I guess 3 o'clock in London on a Sunday, you might be having a adult beverage. It's only 4:17 in Honolulu. Don't know what you do at that time of day. And 10 a.m. in Montreal, 7 a.m. on the west coast of Canada. Teas and coffees and lattes, whatever that might be. It's holiday weekend in the United States. We thank our friends down at Ripfest in Indiana for spending time with us in your pool and competing in this virtual Grand Prix competition. This is hosted by Diving Plongeon Canada, taking place a replacement for our Canada Cup Grand Prix event. We certainly hope things are going to get back to more normal. We're looking forward to having a World Series diving event in October in Montreal, the host or site of that competition over the past few years. It's been a long time since the athletes have gotten together and been able to compete at a World Series event. They were lucky enough to get off to Tokyo for the World Cup and qualify spots for their countries for the Olympic Games. Looks like everything is a go for the Olympics. I'm on my way to the Olympics, got my playbook and rules and guidelines, so lots of things to consider and look after prior to departure into Tokyo. And very much looking forward to seeing all of our Olympic athletes at the pool in Tokyo for the diving competitions. We'll have 2 judges from one of them that's here in Canada on our panel today. He'll be there at the competition as well. And one of the U.S. judges that was with us yesterday is also an Olympic judge. I'm hearing from the production side of things that the things are refreshing and ongoing in discussions for our judges. Thankfully, they can communicate with each other, and if we have to go to a manual scoring, we will. You can see our athletes in Sheffield. They're warming up and playing around on their boards, whereas the team in Indiana is chilling out behind the boards back there. On the rebroadcast of this, when you're watching this recorded, just hit fast forward so you don't have to listen to all of this killing time. I'm not getting paid by the word here, so I'm just trying to keep you informed and entertained a little bit. So if I say something funny, we're going to top it up with this laptop. It's unlikely I will be saying anything funny, so we won't be using that button. Okay, so I'm hearing that we're getting closer. You can see the lads heading back up to the board there in Sheffield. They will be the right team performing the right dive. And there they are in Sheffield. This is Leon and Tyler, a 301B reverse dive pike. It's going to be slight delays after each dive because we are recording the scores manually. The judges are going to be entering their scores secretly into the official scoring chat. Here's Leon and Tyler. The judges again saw that dive real time. They're entering the scores individually, and then they will be read out to our technician in Victoria, who will enter those scores into the software and it will tabulate. But I don't care, no baby, I don't care. People always tell me take a breath. Hey, I've been looking for something that haunts me. So while the judges' scores are coming in, which will take a little bit longer each time now than the instantaneous networking process through the UJudge software, we now have them being entered manually, and you get to see replays and replays of the dives, which is always a fun thing to do if you're tuned in to watch diving. Is there something I could take for this pain to go away? 'Cause I've tried 100 methods and they always scores are coming in. Am I crazy? Don't tell me I'm crazy. I just need to find another way. Hey. I've been looking for something that haunts me all night. I've been staying up hours until the sunrise, just to catch you, always living the same life. I don't really know, but I just need to take some time to get away. I don't really know, but I just need to take some time to get away. I just need Scores have come in for you, ladies and gentlemen. Sincere apologies. 45 points there for Leon and Tyler. And our next team, Ewan and Hugo. They're performing a 3-0 on B. It's a reverse dive, like position. Once again, the judges are looking for their overall impression of the synchronized dive. Scores have now come in for Leon and Tyler. Sorry, Ewan and Hugo. 32 points there for the lads. Round number 2 for the women's event, heading down to Indiana at the Ripfest Diving Academy. 101B, this is a forward dive, pike position. Oh, sorry, 301B, this is reverse dive, Kristen and Margaret. Good to watch several replays for watching this broadcast later on. They can analyze those dives from a coaching perspective. Here's our athletes waiting patiently for their scores. There they are. They are 40 points for that 6.5s and 6s. 3 7s in there as well for Kristen and Margot. We're going to go to Great Britain for round number 2 in the women's 3-meter synchro. In Sheffield, Tilly and Evie, 5-1, 3-2D, forward, 1.5 somersault, 1 twist. Once again, our judges are looking for an overall impression of the synchronization of our athletes. You can also play along with that. And how would you score these athletes on their synchronization? Normally, there'd be 2 judges looking at the execution of diver A and 2 looking at the execution of diver B, and then 5 other judges looking at the synchronization. And they would be aligned on both sides of the pool. Not an option here in this one camera angle. There's 43 points for Team Great Britain. That was round number 2. And we're heading out to starting the men again back in the round number 3 back in Sheffield. There's the boys up there ready to go with their dive. Round number 3, Leon and Tyler, 405B. It's an inward 2.5 pike position. Overall impression of the synchronization, looks like one diver for a fair bit of time during that whole process. Really nice effort there by the boys, and I think the judges will recognize that as well. You're going to see the live scores coming in for you now. 70.50, 8.5s and lows of 7.5 in there from our judges. Round number 3 for Ewan and Hugo, performing a 205B. It's a back 2.5 somersault pike position. Typically when one of the two athletes struggles with their dive, it also throws off the synchronization. You'll see that reflected in the scores from our judges rather than individual scores for the diver A or B. Overall impression of the synchronization, and there they are, 61.50 points for the boys in round number 3. We're heading out to Indiana for the women's 3rd round. This is Margot and Kristen performing a 205B back 2.5 somersault pike position.
Feeling like time passed me by. That's why I'm sitting on the phone all afternoon. But who am I to try?
Scores coming in for Team Ripfest. Kristen and Margot. They're back 2.5 pike position, scored by our judges. There they are, waiting patiently for their scores. Doing a little fashion walk for us. Thank you, ladies. 58.50, I think, was the score. It was there and gone. We'll see that in the final results in the leaderboard. This is Team Great Britain. 405C. It's an inward 2.5 somersault in the tuck position. Nice to be able to see some replays upon replays while our judges saw that dive once in the real time and are entering their scores, submitting their scores manually at this point. The technical issue as we're bouncing back and forth between one event and events combined from there. Instead of combining them as one event, where they were listed as two separate events. So keypads aren't working, they're entering their scores manually to our technician. 52.65 points. And after a bit of delay and trying to catch up, we are preparing to give you the leaderboards. I just want to make sure that the athletes in Great Britain are on standby from there, and they are. You can tell by their body language they're on a holding pattern. So here are the standings, the leaderboard. After 3 rounds of diving for the men, and here are the results after 3 rounds of diving in the women's 3-meter synchro. Judges don't get to see this leaderboard, and only you and the viewing audience in the live stream get to watch that. So here we go. You see the live shots of the pool. And back to Sheffield. This is round number 4, Leon and Tyler, 5-1, 5-2B, forward 2.5 somersault, 1 twist.
You're all that I could see. You're all that I could see when I could hardly walk.
Lost up in the technology on the production side of things. I don't get a chance to watch the dives that often, and this time I focused in on there, much like you are at home. A great effort by the divers on their individual dives. A little bit off on the synchronization that will show up in the scoring. It's a tough dive, but both of them executed it very well. Little bit of discrepancy on the synchronization. You can hear the scores coming in. 75% from the judges in there, and here you see their totals. 67.50 points. A low of 6.5s, mostly 7.5s, 1-7 in there. Round number 4 for Ewan and Hugo, performing a 4.05B. It's an inward 2.5 pike position. Good effort by Hugo and Ewan on their dive. The judges' scores are now in. We're getting a little more efficient in that process. Less delay. 60 points there for the boys from Sheffield. Going back to Indiana, this is Kristen and Margot performing the 5-1-5-2B, forward 2.5 somersault, 1 twist, pike position. Scores coming in from our judges. You get to see some replays. That's Kristen and Margot down there at the... This is the indoor training facility for the 15 minutes away from the academy. That's 63 points for Team Ripfest on their 4th dive. We've been at the outdoor facility at Forest Park Aquatic Center for some of the, certainly the tower dives, and then we'll go indoors if the weather is not cooperating. This is Tilly and Evie. Dive number 4, 205C, back 2.5, tuck position. Tilly and Evie on their back, 2.5. Good execution on the far side of the board. Hard for me to tell who that is diving from there. I think that's Evie, but I have 50% chance of getting it wrong, which I believe I just did. That's Evie with the bandage on her ankle. That part we know because she injured herself. Here is the result. The women's results are up on the board now. I can't actually see them, nor can our judges and officials, so I'm hearing that that's the women's results. If it's not, it's the men's result. Again, 50% chance of getting it wrong. I think this is the men's results. Yes, it is. There's the men's results after 4 rounds of diving. Loving the technology. We love it when it goes well. We get a little, nothing to do but giggle when it doesn't go well. Round number 5 for our team from Great Britain, Leon and Tyler. 107B. It's a forward 3.5, pike position. Okay, I'm going to watch that dive in the replay right along with you. Good hurdles, strong takeoffs, great height for the boys. Not so bad on the synchronization as they spin through. We get to see a little bit of a lack of synchronization from the camera angle itself. But the judge's overall impression of that dive is coming to you now. Some good scores, the highs of 8s in there, and 6.5 was your low. Overall, a good performance by the boys. I think they'll be happy with that. Ewan and Hugo performing a 107B, forward 3.5, pike position. We're going to see that dive one more time at real speed, 100% speed, for the sake of our judges. And then we get to see some slower motion replays. Scores coming in. They await patiently one more round of diving for the boys. They'll get ready. 60.45 points for the boys in Sheffield. We're heading out to Indiana. This is the final round of diving for our women's 3-meter synchro event. Representing Ripfest, Kristen Hayden, Margot O'Meara, 405B. It's an inward 2.5 pike position. Replays coming to you for our athletes in Indiana. Supported and sanctioned by, approved by USA Diving. The Ripfest is competing at invitation of Diving Canada to compete in this virtual Grand Prix. And our scores are in, coming your way right after this replay. And there's the ladies doing their fashion catwalks again while they're waiting for their scores. 64.50 points. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Margot. Thank you to Ripfest. You are going to be receiving a gold or a silver medal. That is to be determined after this final dive of the competition. Tilly Brown, Evie Smith, representing Great Britain. 305C, reverse 2.5 somersault, top position. Evie and Tilly doing their reverse dives. Individually, pretty good dives on their own. The synchronization is what we're looking for. I think 6.5s and 7s are coming your way. Just my guess. The judges' scores were submitted. I'm guessing they're not. They know what they're doing. One more replay for you. Final scores coming in for Team GBR. There they are waiting for their scores. 53.20 points, their final dive. Thank you, Evie. Thank you, Tilly. Thank you, GBR, for participating in our virtual Grand Prix. You're going to have to wait a little bit. The suspense is going to kill you. We're going to do the final dive of the men's round and then come back with the leaderboard for both events. 51-54B for Leon and Tyler. This is a forward 2.5 somersault, 2 twists. 3.4 tariff degree of difficulty on this dive for the boys. More difficult dive, a little more challenges, especially in the synchronization side of things, which is what our judges are looking for. Say 5.5s and 6s for our athletes from there. A bit of a struggle on the far side there. It's tough to twist at the same time, same speed when you are two different bodies hurling yourselves through the air. Ooh, see a golf swing happening down there. Looking for their final scores. Fist bumps and 61.20 points for Leon and Tyler. They're going to stand by to see if it's a gold or a silver for them, their fellow teammates and countrymen. Ewan and McCabe, Hugo Thomas, 51-52B. This is a forward 2.5 somersault, 1 twist, pike position. Is it gold? Is it silver in the virtual Grand Prix? See what the judges had to say about this dive for Ewan and Hugo. Judges' scores have come in. One more replay for you. Here are the results. 61.50 points for Ewan and Hugo. And your leaderboard for the men's, who's first, who's second. There we go, 360.40 versus 321.45. Leon and Tyler. Congratulations and thank you, boys. Thank you, Team GBR, for doing this event, participating. Thanks, Julian, down there looking after everything on behalf of the athletes and the coaches. I think Kim White is also there in Sheffield helping out and doing his part on this virtual Grand Prix. And there we go with the results for the women's event. Congratulations, our gold medalists, 3-meter synchro champions, Margot and Kristen. Thanks to Tilly and Evie in their second place, the silver position. Hey, this wraps up the event. Thanks for sticking with us. Thank you, judges. You've done a great job down there with the technology. Failed us just a little bit. Thanks to our studio and operators, Tim and John and all of his crew there in Thunder Bay. Thanks to One Square Phillips, presenting sponsor, also to Speedo Canada. And